honoring Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, entitled Our Freedom, What Story Would You Tell? And I'm here along with the worship associate, Ariana Drew.
Thanks, John. Today's service is being done by the Racial Justice Team. The core team is composed of myself, John, Christine Barker, Karen Cole, Azariah Moses, Cynthia Patterson, Suzanne Abrams, Kelly Patton, and Janae Johnson. But there are numerous other people doing the work along with us. We also have music directed by John Arterton and Tim Berneman on the piano, and a performance by the UUSP Bell Choir. If you want a church where we believe that Black Lives Matter, that no human is illegal on stolen land, that climate change is real, and that everyone is worthy of love, I have good news for you. You may have found your church home. In this church, we also welcome the unique energy of children, and in a few minutes, the children will go to their RE classes after our opening.
It's a very busy day here at UUSP, so please refer to the insert in your program for details on joining us for the MLK Parade tomorrow.
If you're interested in becoming a member of UUSP or just want to learn more about us, then join the membership class today and next Sunday. The class will be at noon in Conway South.
Also, the Community Resource Fair will be at noon today in Gilmore Hall, and the Sunday dinner and discussion group will be at 6 this evening. See Chris McDonald. Chris, are you here? Nope. See Chris, she may be coming in late for more information on that.
The Racial Justice Team has Black Lives Matter t-shirts and hoodies available, as well as we still have more tickets available for the 39th Annual MLK Leadership Awards breakfast tomorrow. See Christine Barker after service if interested. Please read the rest of your announcements in the order of service in our weekly newsletter and on the TV in Gilmore during coffee hour.
And we need to change our script to the monthly newsletter now. We don't get it weekly anymore, but as Unitarian Universalists, we're a people of diverse beliefs, but we share a common faith that every person is worthy of love, that what we do in this world matters, and that we are connected to one another and to the earth. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcomed here. Allow me to give a special welcome to any newcomers. If you're new to UU St. Pete, or even relatively new, can you give us a wave? Oh, welcome. So normally this is the time where I put the pressure on and say I'm going to bring the microphone around so you can introduce yourself, but our order of service is so long today that you get a break. So come back next week and then we'll put the pressure on.
Thanks for silencing your cell phones. Regarding masks, we encourage you to wear one as you are comfortable. Now is the time for us to turn and greet our neighbors. At the end of these few minutes, we will sing the children to their classes. Please remember to get consent if you're going to hug or shake hands.
I like your glasses. Okay. Oh, they don't. Okay. So we'll go ahead and sing the children out to RE right now. Now please rise as you are willing and able for our first hymn, Come and Go With Me. And John says you do not need your hymnal.
You don't need your hymn books because you're going to be able to clap. Rise, please. Those that are willing and able, come and go with me to that land. Just follow along. You'll be great. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Where I'm bound. There'll be freedom. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. Where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. Freedom in that land. Where there'll be justice. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. Where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Be justice. There'll be justice. There'll be justice. In that land where they'll be singing. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land. Where I'm bound, where I'm bound. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land where they'll be marching. They'll be marching in that land. They'll be marching in that land. They'll be marching in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Marching. They'll be marching in that land. They'll be marching in that land where I'm bound.
Please remain standing for our chalice lighting. Sorry. We have a short reading by Reverend Ade Amakraba of the Unitarian Universalists of New Braunfels prior to our traditional chalice lighting. New Braunfels is in Texas, if you're curious, and this reading is entitled To Remember. Spirit of life, we have come here today to remember what some are intent on making us forget, to remember a man who fought to end segregation, to remember a man who marched to counter prejudice and oppression, to remember a man who was filled with peace and hope, to remember a man with a promise and a dream, to remember a man with a voice that rang out for justice and freedom. All these things we remember and honor in the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and a life well lived in service to all. May it be so.
The flaming chalice is a reminder that we choose to focus here together for this time today, and that we believe that such time is sacred. Susan Abrams lighted our chalice, and so I invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words can be found in your program and online. Feel free to follow along with the two hand movements, hand to heart, and then hands reaching out as if you're serving. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. You can be seated. Keep you standing all day long.
And bear with me, I've lost my voice partially. So we've come to the time in our worship service for joys, sorrows, and concerns. Those of you on YouTube Live are not in this room, but your presence is still felt. Please type your joys and concerns and sorrows into the text chat. And if you have a joy, concern, or sorrow to share during the week, please send them to Rev Ben at minister@uusaintpete.org.
Right now, Rebecca Wilson will place a stone in the water for each one that is submitted this week. If you have additional cards that you filled out and you haven't brought them up already, please do so now, or ask a neighbor to bring yours up. A stone of joy that Azariah is out of the hospital and feeling better, and he's actually here today, so that's even a special bonus.
A stone of concern for Dave and Karen Cole. Tests have determined that there's some blockage in the stent that drains the excess brain fluid for Dave, and it has worsened some of his symptoms, and especially with mobility. A surgical solution is available, and they are working through the steps needed in order to have corrective surgery. So please keep Dave and Karen in your thoughts.
A stone of hope that everyone is tending to their mental health and emotional well-being as the new administration enters the White House. Know that you are part of a loving community that can be called upon for support should you need it.
And I have a stone of joy. Sally Wallace, who has been involved with this church for over 50 years and is watching online right now. She's one of our dear matriarchs, and she's been a loyal participant in the Sunday morning book discussion group for many years. She is celebrating her 95th birthday.
Happy birthday. A stone of joy from Ian Goddard, members and friends from UUSP, led by Reverend Ben, who escorted patients at the Bread and Roses Women's Clinic Saturday. They maintain cheerful and nurturing spirits in the face of protesters' hate and fury.
And we have a stone of joy from Sandy Weeks. My wife, Lauren Penny, has come home from the hospital, so that's good news.
A stone of, I'll say, concern from Dana. Sandra Lewis, a volunteer at the Friday Sunset Supper, is in the hospital after a fall. For more information, call Debbie Duty at 727-894-6536. If anybody needs that phone number, just see me afterwards and I can give it to you.
And this is joy, sorrow, and concern all at once. The concern, this is from Linda Mangelsdorf. Fred and I made our snowbird trek to St. Pete and to our winter floating home. A tiny houseboat, and it's at St. Pete Municipal Marina. What we confirmed is that we can no longer manage this lifestyle. The sorrow is probably our last trip here, but maybe not. But the joy is all the happy memories, and we look forward to a new chapter in our lives.
Stone of sorrow from Dana as well. My friend Luann, who had to euthanize her dog, Rosie.
That's all I
That's all?
have.
Okay.
Are you done?
And we will place a final stone for those joys and concerns that remain in our hearts, perhaps too tender to be spoken out loud.
And we'll now read the responsive reading, and you have it in your order of service. We answer the call of love. John and I will read the bold items, and then you will respond. In the face of hate, we answer the call of love.
In the face of exclusion,
We answer the call of love. In the face of homophobia,
in the face of racism,
we answer the call for justice for all races. In the face of xenophobia, we answer the call of pluralism.
in the face of misogyny,
We answer the call for women's rights. In the face of demagoguery, we answer the call of reason.
in the face of religious intolerance,
We answer the call of diversity. In the face of narrow nationalism,
in the face of bigotry,
we answer the call of open-mindedness. In the face of despair, we answer the call of hope.
as Unitarian Universalists, we answer the call of love, now more than ever. Now let's take a minute just to reflect on both the response and the joys and concerns from earlier.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning, I'm Christine Barker, a member here. As Unitarian Universalists, we answer the call of love, now more than ever. In the face of racism, we answer the call of justice for all races. One of the many steps our congregation has taken to answer the call of racial justice was adopting the 8th Unitarian Universalist principle last year in our 2024 meeting. The 8th principle reads as thus: we, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, covenant to journey towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. The next step we took here at UUSP to answer the call of racial justice and to live the 8th principle was to adopt the Pledge to End Racism. The pledge to end racism was first conceived more than 25 years ago in Birmingham, Alabama, and began as a statement of principles that committed people who signed it to work every day to eliminate racism. It has grown into a national and international initiative that offers faith communities like our own and other groups a place to start to build a common understanding, a common language, and a commitment for a just, more equitable society. The Living the Pledge to End Racism workshop was designed by the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond, Virginia, to help move us to collective action to dismantle racism. This 12-hour workshop uses videos, readings, activities, and discussions to help us engage in conversations, at the same time as developing confidence and competence in even just talking about this issue, right? The first step to eliminating racism and to being anti-racist for all of us is just being able to talk about these really difficult, in our society, our culture, it's so difficult to talk about race directly with people of our own race, with people of different races. So the idea is we start talking, right? And the workshop provides both a foundation to understand racism, but it also gives us the tools, the confidence, the experience to talk with each other in small groups. We start with foundations and spend time in small groups exploring family traditions and self-discovery about racial differences and similarities in growing up. And for many of us doing the workshop, it's really fascinating to talk with each other about, where we came from, how we first learned about race. It's a really deep way to connect with others here. We move on to explore stereotypes and explicit and implicit biases, and then we strategize and practice. How might we confront our own biases and change them, right? Because we all have biases. We learn how to recognize and speak up against microaggressions. Through film and video, we learn about the foundations and systems of institutional racism in America. Throughout this, we are continuing to have opportunity to discuss in small groups. We cover the history and principles of the Black Lives Matter movement and examine some of the common myths about this racial justice organization. And finally, we make a personal commitment to end racism with the support of each other, incorporating what we've learned about the topic and what we've learned about ourselves. Last year, we held 2 Living the Pledge workshops, and 45 members attended the Pledge to End Racism. Here are some of their comments after in the evaluations. It was great, thoughtful, well-paced. We especially liked the sharing with one another, the openness. The group leaders were personal, down to earth, real, well-prepared, respectful of time. We were glad to learn about microaggressions and implicit bias. The workshop encouraged self-examination. The best part was being with UUSP members, sharing stories and ideas, and the concrete suggestions and opportunities to act on our intentions. I want to ask everyone in the audience who's done the Living the Pledge, for even whatever, if they've come to one of the Living the Pledge trainings, just stand up, please, so you can show show how cool it is, right? So these people and close to 45 others have done it. So thank you so much. They were very brave. So we invite all of our members and friends to answer the call of justice and the call of love and take the next Living the Pledge workshop, which will be offered on the first 3 Saturdays of this February. This is a part of living our UU value of justice, working to build UUSP into a diverse, multicultural, beloved community where all feel welcome and can thrive. Thank you.
This reading is an excerpt of a speech delivered by Ibram X. Kendi at UC Berkeley on September 12, 2019. Racist or anti-racist? Ironically, Americans who self-identify as not racist, whether they're conservatives, moderates, liberals, radicals, progressives, they don't realize that we are connecting ourselves to a history of slave traders who self-identified as not racist, although they didn't use that term. We're connecting ourselves to enslavers who said, yes, when we say black people should be enslaved, when we say slavery is positive, good, when we say slavery is a necessary evil, when we say that black people are the cursed descendants of Ham, those are not racist ideas. That's God's law. That's science's law. That's nature. That's logic. We don't realize that we're connecting to Jim Crow's segregationalists who said, I'm not racist, it's separate but equal down here. You can't tell it's separate but equal? We're following the law. We're not racist. We're connecting to eugenicists, who were really the first group of Americans to be classified as racist, who also turned around and said, this is science. This isn't racism. This is science. We have empirical data to demonstrate that black people are intellectually inferior by nature. Just look at their test scores. And today we have white nationalists. We have white supremacists who self-identify as not racist. We have white supremacists who, before they go into a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, write a manifesto claiming that Latinx immigrants are invading Texas, and then also claiming, I'm not racist. We have this long history of racists classifying themselves as not racist. Racists who cannot imagine that they have been reinforcing notions that there's something wrong with a particular racial group. Racists who can't imagine that the policies and policy makers they're supporting are creating and reproducing racial inequality. Fundamentally, racism, its heartbeat, has always been denial. And the sound of that heartbeat has always been, I'm not racist. To be more specific, that sound of that heartbeat has always been not racist. And so in writing How to Be an Anti-Racist, I've had one singular goal. If I could somehow shape the world, what I would hope would come out of this book is very simply, we would eradicate the term not racist from the American vocabulary. And then it would force people to recognize that they're either what? Racist or anti-racist. It would force Americans to recognize that all policies are either racist or anti-racist. All ideas are either racist or anti-racist. Then we can truly have an accounting of ourselves, of our ideas, of our policies, and of our country. Because at some point, we're going to have to stop denying that we have metastatic racism. Because if you didn't already know, it is literally killing America. It is literally killing this world. The three lethal weapons that are threatening American existence and human existence are, of course, nuclear war, climate change, and bigotry. Today is Share the Plate offering. One half of all non-pledge contributions will support BLUE, the Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism. UUSP is home to one of only 9 Blue Havens in the country, giving our members of color a space to confer with each other and to hold space together. We gather here to learn and grow together. Let's now offer what monetary gifts we're able to ensure that we take care of our church home. In the sanctuary, the offering will now be given and received.
What is given, we receive with great joy. Thank you. How's everyone feeling at this point in the service? Some may be feeling frustrated, some good, some empowered, some blamed, some depressed, disengaged, some of the above, all of the above. I admit it's a little bit of a heavy service. Some of you might have come in this morning already burdened with feelings and emotions about life and the world. Tomorrow, there would not be a service. For anybody that's new, there would not be a service without John Motter getting a little bit choked up at least one time in the service. But the tears will not flow today. Tomorrow we commemorate the life of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King spent his life fighting for the rights of black people. Being a leader in this fight cost him his life and deprived his 4 children of growing up with their father. Also tomorrow, our country inaugurates a man found guilty of 34 felonies to the highest office in the country, President of the United States. A man who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times that called for the death penalty of the Central Park Five. Years later, when they were exonerated through DNA evidence, the man never apologized and continued to claim they were guilty. This month's Soul Matters theme is living love through the practice of story. And I would say that there's a whole lot of stories that have come out and will come out based on those last 2 paragraphs I spoke of. I won't even venture to guess at the number of books that have already been written, nor the number of books still in the author's minds that will be about both of them. There is an ironic side note in looking at these 2 men. King's I Have a Dream speech was given at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. It was about the economic disparity between black people and white people in the U.S. And progress was made over the years because of the various civil rights acts, affirmative action, and other legislation. More black people were able to attend college, they got better jobs, and they created some economic wealth. And this was all a good thing. The person moving into the White House based much of his first term and both campaigns talking about the loss of economic wealth for Americans. And by Americans, I say he meant white Americans. In the America he dreams of, we will return to the former days when America was great. From what I can tell, this will be done by rolling back much of the legislation that helped level the playing field for BIPOC, that's Black, Indigenous, people of color individuals, women, the LGBTQIA plus people community, and any other marginalized people. Like I said, in reality, I think he only meant in respect to white Americans, but who am I to say? So what's the irony of these 2 stories? In my opinion, the first story, if it had been fully embraced, could have truly made a lasting impact in the lives of all Americans. Yet we have fought tooth and nail to minimize the degree to which we have allowed changes to be made. We feel good about ourselves when we have our first black female Supreme Court justice, or Olympic gymnast, or vice president. People say things like, well, look at all the progress we've made. This makes people feel good about themselves, but it leaves out large parts of the story. They omit the part where we trash them the first time they make a mistake. When they win a silver medal instead of a gold medal, it's because they can't handle the pressure. Or say they ask to be treated with respect that is normal for a white person in their position, but now we say they're being uppity. Yes, progress was made, but how much progress? In 10, 20, or 40 years from now, There will be plenty of history books about today's America. What will they say? Will they be written in a positive or negative light? Will they be truthful? What is the truth? Will the words about Dr. King discuss the fact that the movement was pretty patriarchal? Will the books about the incoming president discuss the fact that he was able to tell a lie repeatedly until a lie became the truth in the minds of many individuals? In the beginning, I asked how people were feeling today on the eve of the election. In January of 2017, on the eve of the inauguration, I was seriously depressed. I had been depressed since November, and I continued to slide into a deeper depression for months to come. I had no faith in humanity. I seriously questioned whether I wanted to continue living. If I were to honestly answer that question this morning, I would say that I'm feeling pretty damn determined. I'm determined to move myself forward and to create change needed to bring truth to light and to create a better world. You're welcome. I also know that the change I create will be minimal in the grand scheme of things, but I know that there are millions of other people that are doing their part to create change. And a few millions adds up to a lot. It's not to say that I'm feeling fantastic about what we are facing as a country. I'm scared about what will happen in the next 4 years. I'm scared about what will happen on the second day on Tuesday. I question how so many people were able to vote for this person. How have so many people been able to accept and even promote the policy that he espouses? And these are my thoughts. We don't like to face terrible emotions. We don't like confrontation. We want to feel good about what we do. We want to look good for the good in others, or we want to look for the good in others. And we all do this without realizing that it comes at a cost. I don't think anyone would dispute the idea that there is still racial discrimination in our society. We know that police are more likely to kill a BIPOC individual than someone that is white. We know that books are being banned. We know that the governor has prohibited teaching about a subject that could make a student feel uncomfortable. I don't think anyone would dispute the idea that war or conflicts put all of us at risk. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been going on for more than 2 years. We know that Palestinians are being starved, murdered, and annihilated. But Hamas is a terrorist organization out to destroy Israel. I don't think that anyone would dispute the idea that climate change exists. We've had 2 major hurricanes this year. If you've been watching the news or TV, you see about the wildfires going on in California. Some in our congregation have family members that are at risk. The fact that I'm not in a fetal position, under a blanket, on the floor, is a miracle. I'd like to curse a little there, but I'm in a sanctuary, so I won't. Just, you can think about what I would say. I don't always feel great, but again, I do feel determined. And one of the differences between 2017 and 2025 is the fact that I don't deny that we are in a messy, messy place. Many of you have heard of Brené Brown. She's an academic researcher and public speaker who spent decades looking at courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. And she states, when we deny our stories and disengage from tough emotions, they don't go away. Instead, they own us. They define us. Our job is not to deny the story, but to defy the ending, to rise strong, to recognize our story and rumble with the truth until we get to the place where we can think, yes, this is what happened. This is my truth, and I will choose how this story ends. I'm a Unitarian Universalist. and I say our covenant each week here in the sanctuary. I am part of a UU church that is part of the Unitarian Universalist Association. As a church, we covenant congregation to congregation to engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love. You and I don't have to agree on the specifics, but we do agree that love is the power that holds us together, and it is at the center of our shared values. Those 6 values are justice, interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, and generosity. For each of those 6 values, there's an action statement that we covenant to. For justice, the first half is that we covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. For pluralism, we covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. For interdependence, we covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationship of care and respect, mutuality, and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. Those last few paragraphs tell me what I need to do. They tell all of us what we need to do. So don't think you can't be racist because you have a black friend or 2. Ask your friend if you can have an honest conversation with them on race. Be aware that you might be bringing up some unpleasant memories, and they might not want to talk about all those feelings. That's their right. But if they are willing to talk to you, ask them if you've ever said or done something that they found offensive. And be prepared for them to say yes. And honestly, listen to their response. Process what they say. Apologize. Learn from it. Try not to repeat it. And if you do repeat it, try again. And you may make those mistakes several times, but eventually you'll get it down. If you don't think that talking about race in schools or banning books is that big of an issue, then talk to a teacher. Don't swarm her after service, especially because she's got a cold, but ask Cynthia Patterson how these laws have changed how she teaches and what she teaches at the University of South Florida. Here's one thing I struggle with because it's been in the news lately. Several companies like Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, Ford, Walmart, Amazon, and Target, they're rolling back or eliminating their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, largely due to backlash from conservative campaigns against woke companies. I interact with several of those companies. It's difficult to remove myself from Facebook. We have a Facebook page where we get lots of news on, Lord, we have to go and have beer and drink at Faith on Tap. You know, it is difficult. Some companies only have a presence on Facebook. And so how do I remove myself entirely? I haven't yet. But what I am doing is watching those companies and seeing what they're doing after they've rolled back those DEI programs. Because they may still be doing the work. They may just be doing it in a different way to avoid the backlash. But if they're not doing it and they're regressing, then I need to make a serious choice. I have often said or thought that the issues in the Middle East, which have gone on for hundreds or thousands of years, are so complicated that I just don't know what to do. And that's a cop-out. What I do know is that the Israeli government is responsible for the army and the bombing and killing of Palestinians. And Hamas is responsible for the murder of innocent people and the hostage taking. And the U.S. is providing lots of money and arms and in the middle are lots of innocent human beings. So what can I do? I can talk to members of our congregation that I know are Jewish UUs or were at least raised in the Jewish tradition. What are their thoughts on the war? What are their thoughts on what the Israeli government is doing? What do they think should be done? I can also have similar conversations with the members of the congregation that feel strongly about the support that strongly support the Palestinian point of view. And then I can try and figure out what I think we can do as a country or as a congregation and how I can support people. Climate change provides plenty of opportunities for action. I could be here all day telling different things. But Kelly Patton heads up the animal ministry. One of her passions is the damage that corporate agriculture is doing to our planet. Speak to her about what you can do. Reduce or eliminate meat from your diet. She'll talk your ear off, and she would love your support. Here's a final little thought on what one can do. Mom and I live in a community that is probably looking forward to the change occurring tomorrow. Fortunately, not all of them. I've got some great neighbors, but I do have a neighbor across the street that flew a flag of one of the candidates for presidency, and the hurricane took it out. But I also had a flagpole in my yard. It's about a 20-foot flagpole. And when we moved there, I bought a flag and I raised it every day on that 20-foot flagpole because I was proud of our country. Despite its flaws, I want to see it at its best. And so I hoisted that flag up every morning. And then because my neighbor on the other side of the street had big solar spotlights on his flag and the flag of the candidate, I bought solar lights to go on the top of my flagpole. And so up that flag stayed 24 hours unless there was a storm coming, and then I took it down. And when I took it down, I made sure that it didn't touch the ground. I took it into the house. I was a Boy Scout. I know how to fold a flag into the nice little triangle, and I did that. And it stayed on the shelf until I put it back up on the pole. You know, I took that flag down to half-mast on the day that former President Jimmy Carter died. So now instead of 20 feet above the ground, it's at a nice, comfortable 10. And tomorrow, the American flag in my front yard will remain at 10 feet above the ground. It's pitiful that the ego of the person moving into the White House is so fragile that the flag code of the U.S. is being broken by so many people to appease him, that the flag over our Capitol will be at full mast just to make a weak man feel good about himself. It may be a stupid little act, but it's about sticking to my values and about having my neighbor mad at me. Yes, it is a very scary time right now, but it's not a time to give up hope. I'll wrap up with a quote from Adrienne Marie Brown. This, to me, is the most exciting thing right now. If we wake up, we are in a place where we can create so much history and so much change. Everything is falling apart, but also new things are possible. And Octavia said that there's nothing new under the sun, but there are new suns. We are in a time of new suns. We're in a time of new suns. We have no idea what we could be, but everything that we have been is falling apart. So it's time to change. We can be mindful about that. It's like we are action heroes. Once you wake up and recognize, oh, I can shape everything. I don't have to be the victim of someone else's vision for my subjugation. I actually get to be the powerhouse in the story of my own life and my people's lives. Oh, that's a different invitation. and I'd much rather live in that scenario. And so I do. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Now, please rise. Some of you already were. Now, please rise as you are willing and able for our closing hymn, number 170. In the gray hymnal, it's "We Are a Gentle, Angry People."
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a young all together. We are singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives.
You may be seated. Our closing words are a reflection on a blessing from a Nigerian chief given Juneteenth 2022 in Maine by Reverend Vanessa Taitang, entitled, "Blessed When the World Has Fallen Apart." The world has fallen apart, and though this is not the first time, it is just one of the times where it is all too much. Intentionally crafted by mortal powers that be not ordained by divinity. Weakened, but not dead, I remind myself. And yesterday I was again reminded of ancestors who have been tasked similarly. What is next? What do I do now? When my back has been given far too much weight to bear, when the final straw is placed, I did not know what I needed until it was before me. A spirit of power and memory, backlit by the warm glow of summer sun, a masked figure familiar to family I do not know, and my predecessors speaking in a language I do not know but understood. The slow, careful sound of ankle bells and a motion to come forth welcomed me in, and back in time and space, back. This has happened before, and here we are still. A blessing giving of memory, of protection, of our shared connection. I cannot know the intention, but I felt it. We all felt it. Let us not forget, never forget this moment, or all that brought us here in time and space, remembering past, present, and that we are not done. This is always just the beginning. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. May we be our descendants' bravest heroes, keepers of the flame, knowing we are the ones we have been waiting for. Thus, let's go. Please remain seated as Tim plays our postlude.
I would like to thank John Arterton for the wonderful choral arrangement that he came up with and he composed for this song that honors Dr. Martin Luther King. It's been more than 60 years since you dreamed of justice for all. There've been so many who've answered your call. Words you wrote so beautifully, proclaiming that we all are free. Oh, like the sweetest song, your words live on and on and on and on. How we doing, Dr. King? Taking care of your dreams, honoring your legacy, letting love show the way with beauty and grace, eyes open to see, with nonviolent resistance, prayers for peace in every place. You preach freedom and justice for the whole human race. How we doing, Dr. King? Taking care of your dreams, honoring your legacy, letting love show the way with beauty and grace, eyes open to see. We are sharing our destiny, people here in this land. We are sisters and brothers, and we're stronger hand in hand. Please join in, everyone. How we doing, Dr. King? Taking care of your dreams, honoring your legacy, letting love show the way with beauty and grace, eyes open to see. How we doing, Dr. King? How we doing, Dr. King? You showed us love.
Thank you so much for that. Now it's the releasing of the flame. We invite you to follow along with the hand gestures, light of truth to head, warmth of love to heart, and fire of courage to fingers as Suzanne extinguishes our chalice. The words are in your order of service and online in the text chat. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Enjoy the rest of the day. The resource fair, thank you, is next door. And we hope some of you can join us tomorrow as we march in the parade. Take care.